Right, today we're going to be talking about something that we're quite passionate here about on the Afro Worldview, which is, of course, that of entrepreneurship in the townships. We're having a conversation with Bathabile Moreki, who is the NDP Youth Ambassador. My co-host Richard will be talking to her about really the challenges and the opportunities that are presented to those who are entrepreneurs in the townships. And really, is it transforming? Are we seeing transformation there? You know, you come from townships where you have, people whose fathers are taxi owners and all of that, and the typical sort of, we own a spaza, but are we moving on from that kind of an economy into the bigger sectors? All right, let's cross over then to Richard, who will be having that conversation.
All right, we have here in studio Bathabile Moreki, and she's here to talk about economic transformation in the township. Ms. Bathabile Moreki, let's talk about some of the initiatives that you are championing in these local communities.
Good morning, Richard, and good morning to the viewers. The program that I'm championing is to bring township economy into real life.
To real life. That's key. That's key.
To real life, because
I'm going to challenge you on that.
Each and every policy, you see township economic transformation, but when you go to the township, you don't really see. I'm trading in Bosch. That's where the whole program has been coming to life. So you see that in those townships, you see a lot of businesses. There's great potential, but they're not really formal. So how do you say township economic transformation when we are still trading in the old days? So now, what we are trying to achieve is that let's try to formalize our township businesses, number one. Number two, let's also bring infrastructure. You see in urban areas, if you travel around 4 ways, if you travel around Satan, every corner is a shopping complex being built so that they can be a formal tradings. Those tradings, they build the economy of that city, of that community. So that's what we want to see also in township. Let's not only build houses, RDP houses, schools. Let's also build their business economy so that we can see life. We don't only want to see people getting jobs through urban areas. Let's create jobs in our areas.
Okay, we're going to dig into that because I want to make sure we're on the same page when we talk about township economic transformation, because most importantly, when we talk about that, the face of transformation obviously is youth employment. Okay, we need to talk about the empowerment of local business. I repeat, I'm going to say it again, the empowerment of local business. And of course, government has identified township economies as vehicles for radical economic change. Let's talk about the empowerment of local business. You spoke about various companies coming into the townships. You spoke about banks like APSA, not just being into the mall, but being in localities where people can access it. But let's talk about trade. There's so many informal businesses, as you mentioned. I'm noticing a lot of very savvy businessmen who don't actually live in townships are coming into the townships, taking advantage of what they see, and the locals aren't necessarily benefiting from their very own opportunities that they have surrounding them. To that, you say what?
Yeah, we don't really dispute the value that they add when they come, but we are saying let's move a step further when we talk about township economic inclusion, to say let's also have communities owning businesses, running formal businesses as owners, number one, so that they don't only get employment. That's why I made a reference of at Bosch Extension 36. We used to have AFSA Bank, like it was a full bank, not only ATM. You will find tellers, but now they've moved to the neighboring malls. They moved to Forest Hill, they moved to the plaza. But in the communities, when you don't have more private sector coming on board, we cannot really develop the state township. So what we are trying to drive is that let's have our own businesses being formal in terms of infrastructure, number one. When you do businesses from your house, not every client will be comfortable to come to a personal space to do hair or to buy from you. There's a whole lot of elements of hygiene. With my background, I'm a franchisee. So I've seen even the ecosystem is not just about you as a business owner and creating employment for 1 or 2 people. But if you are trading into a formal business, there's even a lot of other businesses that can plug into your business. Number one, when you set up your store, you will set up you need to build. It's not only about the signages that you put for branding. It's a whole element of putting the tiling. You can even get local people to do that for you. It's another ecosystem, movement. You can get a local plumbing. You can get local electrician. You can get so much other businesses plugging into one small business that can be trading formally in a township. So now if you're opening a spaza, it's in a room. What ecosystem is involved there? There is none. It's only you as a spaza shop owner and maybe 1 or 2 people that you can employ. But if you open a formal business, you can open with at least a minimum of 8 people, but also feed into other small businesses.
So let's talk about the challenges. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, when you look at the township economic situation here across the country, how would you say they are doing, and what can the government and the private sector do to improve the situation?
I think the government is doing fairly well because remember when we ask for support, we get the support. Like you will get maybe a piece of land for a government, but unfortunately government is not there to help in terms of literally opening up businesses. You know, we need private sector to come and invest in such like partnership to bring it to give it more value.
Give me an example. Give me an example.
For example, now we are embarking into building a hub. Government can't give us the full structure of the funds to build a hub. So now we need to approach private sectors. So if you call private sectors, nobody knows what township businesses so that they can direct you to the relevant people. So they talk about it on media, on their papers, but when you try to knock in their doors, you can't get that much assistance, you know. So with government, we have so much things that are happening with government, but with the private sector, we are still lacking their involvement to participate, to help us, you know, because remember with private sector, they bring a whole lot of other elements, because remember business is for, it generates income. So government cannot take all the whole responsibility. Hence, even with the NDP, it says everybody must be hands-on from the community, which that's why I'm here. You know, I'm from the community. I started these initiatives. I went to the government and said, here's the initiatives, can you help? Gauteng Economic Development came on board. We are even meeting them this morning to see the sites. So now we need funding from private sector as well, not only to give us the money, but to invest. Remember, when you're investing, you are getting something out of that. You know, it's business that you are doing. So you're not saying they must just give us money for free. No. We're just saying, come on board and invest. Let's build some, not only the hubs for office desk and free Wi-Fi, but a hub where we can even turn them to, so that the informal traders can use them to formally trade. You know, so everybody can get, like, for instance, I'm running a franchise business. Right. Every month, we give about 50 corporates business. We have DSTV that we are paying every month, telecom lines that we are paying every month. So there's a whole lot of service providers that we use, but unfortunately, they're not coming from the township, their services. They're all coming, you know, from corporates because of the structure of the business. That's why I'm saying that if we can open that other element of having township economic development, we can even be able to give small businesses business through the initiatives.
Now, let's identify some of the townships. Which particular townships have are demonstrating extraordinary potential that you think that the eyes of government and the private sector should actually look at?
Number one, I'll say Olivenhout-Bosch.
Okay.
Olivenhout-Bosch is very vibey with, you know, with entrepreneurship. If you come to Olivenhout-Bosch 4 p.m., you'll see each and every corner somebody is grilling chicken, somebody is grilling something they're selling. You know, you've got a lot of pubs around. You see their taxi ranks, you know, they're pumping. So Olivenhout-Bosch, I will say, let's give it a try, because in Tshwane, there hasn't been much development on their township in terms of township economic transformation. You've seen Soweto,
right.
It has developed, Tembisa is trying, right. But on the Tshwane side, if we can try with Olivenhout-Bosch, we'll be very happy.
Bathabile and Moreki, we have run out of time, unfortunately. This is something that should be discussed in greater detail, but we hope to see you again very, very soon.
No,
thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us on Afro Breakfast.
Okay, thank you.
All right, over to you, Flo Latwaba.
Thank you very much, Richard.